Are you in a place where you're just starting to feel super overwhelmed working behind the chair? Do you feel like you're just stretched so thin from just everything in your life, but just from pleasing your clients all the time? I mean, we are people pleasers. As hairstylists, that's what we are. And sometimes we people please to the point that we start to dread our job and going into the salon. Is that you right now? Just want to say right now that you are not the problem. What is the problem is your lack of boundaries.
Hi there, I'm Sherry Brody, and after more than 40 years working behind the chair, I've learned that success doesn't come from luck. It comes from a lot of faith, perseverance, and courage to keep showing up when life gets messy. Almost 15 years ago, I lost everything. I had to rebuild everything from the ground up, my life, my career, and my confidence. There were moments I wanted to quit, but by God's grace, I found the strength to cut through it, one step, one prayer, one haircut at a time. That's what this podcast is all about. Cutting through it is where we get real about what it takes to build a successful career and a life behind the chair that actually works. So if you're ready to stop doubting yourself, strengthen your skills, and build a business rooted in faith, purpose, and truth, you're in the right place, my friend. This is Cutting Through It, where we don't just talk about hair. We talk about life, growth, and everything it takes to become the hairstylist and the person God created you to be.
And so in this episode today, we're going to talk about the 3 biggest boundary issues that we as hairstylists face, and how by not setting those boundaries, it leads us to burnout. And I want to share with you today how you can fix that. There was a time in my career where I literally was running myself into the ground, trying to keep everyone happy. I mean, I did it all. I worked my days off. I extended my hours for those favorite clients that wanted that last minute favor. I took last minute cancellations. If somebody canceled at the last minute, it upset me, but I didn't say anything because I was just so nervous. And so what am I going to, I don't want to piss them off and have them not come back to me. Some of the clients were disrespectful to me. I was doing some clients at the time that I would see, I can picture her now, a client of mine she'd gotten kicked out actually of a couple salons, I found out later. But when I saw her name in my books, I would see her name, we'll call her Mary Jane, but I would see Mary Jane in my books and I would just dread it all week long. But I did her for years until I got a hold of myself and started setting boundaries, and I fired her. I thought being flexible made me a great hairstylist, but in all actuality, it was destroying me. There was a defining moment I can think back of when I really learned that I needed to grow some balls and start standing up for myself as a hairstylist. I was a single mom with 2 young boys, and I didn't live anywhere near family. I didn't have a lot of support. I was doing it all. So, financially, I could honestly say I was pretty strapped. So, they would see their father every other weekend. So every other week, I was working a full 7 days. And a lot of those days were 10, 12-hour days. And when I did have my boys, it was so painful because I always had to find daycare for them, a nanny, because I had to work. And I was working 5 days a week. I was working 10 hours a day and then coming home and taking care of my kids and trying to be all. And one day, my oldest son, he got sick and the school called and I had to pick him up. Well, the client that I had to call to cancel, that I thought she was a great client. I thought wrong, because when I called her to tell her, I was stunned. This client who I thought was so great, she got so angry with me and told me that if I did not take her, she was going to find somebody else to do her hair. And I'd been doing her hair for quite a while. It was in that moment that I thought to myself, I don't care. My kids are more important and I don't need you as a client. And after that moment, I thought back to a time in my career where a mentor of mine had shared with me that our clients are our clients. They are not our friends, and we teach them how to treat us. And she said, your clients will step over your cold, dead body to get their hair done if they have a special occasion. The time she told me that, I thought, wow, that's really cold. But at that moment, I thought, my God, she's right. And I thought, I need to make some changes. As I went home and I was with my babies, I thought, I need to make some changes. So of course I got mentoring, and, I don't remember how I ended up doing it, but that was when I started really realizing I needed to set boundaries, and that my clients are my clients, and that I need to make a change in my business and get a grip. So I'm sure some of you can relate to that, because when I was even thinking about doing this podcast, and when I'm thinking about what I want to share with you, I'm thinking about that single mom who was me at the time, that is living it now. And so what I'm sharing with you today, I hope that you take notes. I hope that you really listen, and I hope that you get a bit uncomfortable and you start setting some boundaries in your business. So today I want to talk about 3 different boundaries that if you can start learning how to set these, you're going to start that feeling of overwhelm and that feeling of just not even enjoying work anymore. It'll start to ease up and go away, and you'll start loving your job again. So the first one is, you've got to stop saying yes when deep down in your soul, you want to say no. I know you can relate to this. This is our people-pleasing behaviors that we do as hairstylists. And the things that I'm talking about, guys, is working your days off. Working the days off because you don't want to lose that client, or you're worried about the income. I'm just going to tell you right now, because of the time that I've lost, that I'll never get back. You can't get back moments and memories. And so when you have a work schedule, stick to it. There's always emergencies. There's always, those special occasions. That's different. But when we're constantly scheduling people in on our days off and taking away our personal time, you start to resent it. But in reality, we're causing it ourselves. The other one is we squeeze people in. So this one, we can look on our schedule and say, hey, we can realistically look in our schedule. I'll do that sometimes. I know I have a client that her hair doesn't take me as long as the rest, or I know that she's really wanting to get in, and I will share with her, well, you're going to have to kind of sit around and kind of wait. Your service is going to take longer because of this. That's something that I'll do if it's an emergency. But guys, there was a lot of times, and I've seen it with a lot of hairstylists in my long career behind the chair, is we squeeze people in because we're looking at that dollar, that end dollar. But in reality, you may be making a lot of money like that day, but our clients, are we really servicing them? Are we really paying attention to them? And honestly, are we being creative? Are we enjoying our job at that point when we're juggling 3 or 4 people at a time just because we're trying to make ends meet? We're exhausting ourselves. I'm staying late, working past your hours. Sometimes we have to. We're doing a corrective color, or something comes up with a service that didn't turn out right. Well, that's a different story. But when we're constantly staying late because our clients are late, or because we're trying to fit somebody in, that's taking away from our time. And what ends up happening is all of this is where we agree to things like this. And what eventually happens is we become resentful. We start resenting our clients. We start resenting our job. We stop enjoying our job because we're burnt out, basically. So in essence, what I'm trying to tell you is that you got to start setting those boundaries and saying no. There was a book I read, and I keep referring back to it, but it really made an impression in my life because I was going through a very difficult time, and I got it because it was recommended, and it's called Stop Walking on Eggshells. It's by Paul Mason. And it really talks a lot about how we as people pleasers, what we believe by saying no, that it equals rejection or abandonment. And we as stylists, we fall into that trap. We feel like if we say no, that client's going to leave us. But I want you to know something, that after reading this book and after setting these boundaries, that's a total false belief. Not true. Clients, if they, the clients that really respect us and really like our work, they will stick with you. The client like the one I had, I did not need her. She was not good for me to have. Obviously, I was happy to get rid of her. So, and that's how I look at it now. If I'm setting a boundary, if I can't get somebody in, like right now, I work 2 days a week. I'm semi-retired, working behind the chair. And, I'm all the time, having to tell clients, I don't have the time. I could easily just the other day, I was like, oh, maybe I should work an extra day because I really like this client. But there I was blurring my boundary. Instead, I, recommended her to another hairstylist in the salon, and she opted to wait a couple months till she could get in with me. And that's fine. She was fine with that. But what I'm saying to you is that when you set healthy boundaries, your clients they're going to respect you more, and you're going to have more healthy clients for you. And the other thing I want to share with you, I want you to remember that when you have a needy client or a grumpy client or, a client that's really demanding, it drains you. Those are the ones that suck the life out of you, and they're killing you in your business, and they're causing you to be burnt out. So the first one is on boundary one, you've got to learn to say no. The next one is you're letting disrespect slide, and we all do that. And some examples of that are those clients that are chronically late. That client that walks in, she's like 15 minutes late carrying her Starbucks. Yeah, that client. I mean, you're looking at it going, I really would love a Starbucks right now. But in the meantime, she's 15 minutes late, and it's a chronic thing. And when you have a client like that, they're disrespecting you. Because what happens is when you don't set a boundary and say anything, you're late for your next client. And then if you're constantly late for your clients, you're going to start losing clients that you really like because their time is valuable and they're feeling like you're not respecting their time. Those clients that no-show, guys, you got to have a no-show policy. I have a 24-hour policy. And if I have a new client that books with me and they don't show up, they do not rebook with me until they pay that last service in full. Right off the bat, I tell them no. The only time that I didn't do that was somebody, she got stuck in a hurricane on the other side of the world or something like that. But anyway, I know, crazy, but she really did. True story. But anyways, we've got to hold up that no-show because it's your income. And yes, we get scared as hairstylists because we don't like that confrontation factor. But guys, you got to step over the uncomfortable part and just do it. And when you do, it's so liberating. And your clients are going to respect you so much more because honestly, you've got some clients that really don't think about it. And when you bring it up to them, they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. You know what? I won't ever do that again. But those ones that do it and they don't respect your time, if I have a client that I like, she does it and cancels it on the last minute, I tell her about that. I go, this is your only warning. I tell her about it and they never do it again. But if she does it again, then I charge her. The only time I wouldn't is if somebody, had a death in the family or they got in a car wreck. I mean, there's always something that happens. You have to make that judgment call. But my point is, don't let the no-shows go. Last minute cancellations, that goes right here too. Yes, if I have a client, the one I'm talking about is, well, yes, they cancel after the 24-hour window, but those clients that they book ahead of time and then they cancel like 2 or 3 days ahead of time. And a lot of times, things, yes, happen, but when you start seeing a pattern of it with a client, it's time for you to speak up. Some of the easiest ways to do that this is where ChatGPT comes in really, really handy. I don't know about you, but I don't have really good punctuation. I have great ideas in this brain of mine and I have lots of stories, but for me to write it out, sometimes it's hard for me to have it make sense and professional. So what you can do is take ChatGPT and just tell it what you want it to say. You tell it what your thoughts are and you say, make this into an email for a client, I am a hairstylist. I want it to be professional, heartfelt, but professional, and it'll spit it out for you. And you can look at it, and if you want it to adjust it a little bit, you just tell it and it will do it. And it makes life so much easier. You can do that through an email. You can also do it through a text. I know a lot of you prefer texting. But I'm going to tell you, don't be afraid when they come into the salon to talk to them about it again. Did you get my email? Did you get a text? Yes, you've got to have these uncomfortable conversations. You have to. But this is how you gain respect from your clients for you and your business. And this one's a big one, is clients who drain, dump, or emotionally unload on you. And what I mean is there was a client, remember I know in the beginning of this, I was talking about a client that I did not look forward to, that I hated. So funny story, I just got to share it. I digress a lot in these episodes, but she was a client that every time I saw her, I just dreaded it. And this was my salon personally. So I was working at the front. It was a full service salon. We all worked it was like a regular salon. So there was probably, I think, 11 of us in there. I don't remember. But anyway, I'm doing her hair, and her energy is just so negative. She just was such an unhappy person to begin with that a lot of times I didn't really say a whole lot. I said what needed to be said. I was professional. And this particular day, she was getting more on my nerves than usual. And I don't know about you guys. I can remember all kinds of stories about my clients, like their kids' names. They went on a vacation, but where they parted their hair, I always seem to forget that one. So I asked her which side she parted her hair on, and she looked at me and said, "Good God, Sherry, how many times have you done my hair?" And guys, I don't know about you, but there's points in your life where you just hit a wall. I literally just snapped. I took the cape off of her. I stopped mid-service, wasn't finished. I was cutting her hair. I was almost done cutting her hair, but it was not completely finished, wet and everything. And I said, "You need to leave. Do not come back into this salon. Do not book again. Do not talk to me like that again." And I took her cape off and I walked away. And she said, "You're not going to finish my hair." I said, "No, I'm not." And she left. Of course, everybody in the salon was shocked that I did that, because as a salon owner, customers always right. Well, they're not always 100% right. But that was a moment in my career that I was like, okay, I'm done. You don't need these emotionally draining clients. And I don't share that with you because I didn't want you to do that with your client. I share that with you because I should have fired her a long time ago before I got to that point. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that book, Let Them by Mel Robbins. I highly, highly recommend it. I will put it in the show notes, but there's one phrase in there where she says, if someone is showing you who they are, let them. And you get to decide how you respond. Think about that. You have the power to decide how you are going to respond. You have the power to take control of your business and to set those boundaries. You have to respect yourself and love yourself enough to do that. So I'm encouraging you to set that boundary, because the truth is you train clients how to treat you. And every boundary that you enforce teaches them either to respect you or disrespect you. Okay? All right. The third boundary is you're overworking because you don't trust your value. And guys, this is probably the root of most burnout. We as hairstylists, we will push ourselves to exhaustion because deep down inside of us, we're afraid that if I don't take this person, my books will slow down. Who hasn't thought that? Raise your hand. I know I have. My hand's in the air right now. If I don't bend over backwards, if I don't let this go, they will leave me. Who has thought that? If I don't over deliver, I won't be enough. Let me repeat those again. If I don't take this person, my books will be slow. If I don't bend over backwards, if I don't be so people-pleasing, it's ridiculous, they'll leave and go to somebody else. If I don't over-deliver, if I don't do it perfect, I won't be enough. Guys, these are lies. These are insecurities that you have. And I'm telling you, you're someone this person that's talking to you, Sherry Brody, I felt all of these things. I've been through it and I get it. And, we have to change our mindset on that. First of all, if you aren't able to get a client in, we're so blessed to do what we do. We change lives. We affect lives. We make people feel so good about themselves. And it's time you look in the mirror and you just realize how great that is. And if a client, you can't get them in, reschedule them. If they don't want to come in, they weren't meant to come in to you. You can only do what you can do. When you're at work, do the best job you can possibly do. But this is a boundary, guys, that you have to set. And that I think the boundary for this is just stop being afraid. Push in yourself because you're afraid. This is where my faith comes in, honestly, because every day I have to start my day in the Word and just really, reading about Him so that I can know that I'm bigger than all these things, that these are all lies that are in us that keep us from being strong and from becoming the people that you're intended to be. When your worth is rooted in God and in your faith and not in people pleasing, you won't crumble every time a client leaves. There's a verse I just want to share that says, "Am I seeking the approval of man or of God?" It's a verse, it's in Galatians 1:10. And when we stop seeking the approval and we stop doing the comparison, we stop doing all those things and really keeping our focus on bettering ourselves and becoming the person that God's really made you to be, setting boundaries becomes so much easier. Guys, I just want to share a few things before we close. And that is, when you set boundaries, you do not lose clients. You will lose some. The clients, I take that back. You'll lose the ones that are worth losing. And you will gain the right clients, the clients that truly respect you and that you enjoy doing. And when you're doing clients that you enjoy doing and doing services that you love doing, you enjoy your work, you look forward to going to work, and you can be so much more creative. And I'm going to tell you the truth. Your retention is going to improve. When you set boundaries in your business, your clients respect you more and they want to be in your chair more because you're a stronger person and you're being more, you're more leading them. And so your retention is going to definitely improve. And the biggest part of it is your stress is going to decrease. You're not going to feel so stressed out. You're going to feel better, so much better about yourself. And your peace, it's a non-negotiable. You need to think about that every time you're like scared to confront a client because she's no-shows you or she's always late and disrespecting your time. Your peace is non-negotiable. Make yourself more important. When you can do these things, then your chair becomes a business that you're proud of and it's not a burden anymore. So I hope this has helped you today. I really want to give you a little bit of some homework, a little challenge for you, and that is choose one of the boundaries to set. Just one. Maybe it's enforcing your cancellation policy. Maybe you won't work on your day off. You won't take that client on your day off this week. Or maybe you're going to tell that client, I'm no longer working past 5 p.m. Choose one boundary, one, and honor it. And see how it makes you feel. Hey, I hope that this message today, this episode, it spoke to you. It is my sincerest prayer that's something that I shared with you today really encourages you and empowers you because you, girl, you are a hairstylist. You are a life changer. This career that you've chosen, that God has blessed you to do, it's such a fun job and it's a career that you can make a tremendous amount of income and really have that work-life balance and the financial freedom that you're dreaming of. It all starts with setting the boundaries. So you just finished another episode of Cutting Through It, and I'm so glad you're here. If this episode hit home, take a quick second to share it, leave a review, or send it to another stylist who's ready to grow. And be sure to head to onpointhairbysherry.com to get on my email list and explore the education I've created to help you build the business and the confidence you've always wanted. Big things are ahead for you. Keep showing up, keep learning, and keep cutting through it.